NHL player and two-time Stanley Cup champion Daniel Carcillo says he tried to bury what happened to him more than a decade ago. He told CBC that what he endured and witnessed while he was a player with the OHL's Sarnia Sting left him permanently scarred.
When you're singularly focused on a goal, it's kind of scary what you'll accept to try and achieve that goal. If you talk too much in the hockey world and you ask too many questions, they don't like that. They like you to be a good little soldier and to do what they say. And if there's pushback or questions, you won't succeed. I love the game of hockey. The game of hockey. I don't like hockey culture. I think it's toxic. If you want to get to the NHL, you know, you're not going to let a bully or an abuser stop you. I wasn't. And I didn't want it to be over. You know, so I just took it. One of the most vivid memories that stands out is one of my teammates being taped to a table, ass up, naked, being whipped with his own belt by two veterans. He was screaming. The coaches heard, so one of the coaches came out. And the veteran kind of looked at him and was joking around with him and handed him the belt. And the coach actually participated and then walked back into his office, albeit it wasn't very hard. It was more of a joking participation. But to me, sitting in my stall watching this, it told me that I had nobody to turn to tell this type of stuff to, you know. Coming up in hockey and in hockey culture is difficult, and these types of events are unfortunately pretty common. And what I've been finding out about myself is my upbringing and my learned behavior and what I've gone through in the OHL, I think has really formed me into that angry character that most people associate me with on the ice.
Passing and Carcillo dropped the gloves at center. Cassian tried a big left to start now.
Now, earlier in his career, when Danny Carcillo was playing for Wayne Gretzky out in Phoenix, he was one of the more feared guys in the league because he was so unpredictable.
And I got to tell you, Steve, these are not staged. Look at the intensity on their faces. This is real stuff.
Hazing's abuse, and if you're getting abused, you have to try and find somebody to confide in and tell them about it. Don't suppress it as long as I did. You know, look back to that roster and look back to that team and go look up the names of guys that were on those teams in Sarnia and look how messed up some of us are.
Now, some people may be surprised at this treatment of teammates by teammates in junior hockey, but Charles Amodio went through this too. He played with Daniel Carcillo in Sarnia, and Charles is with me now. So Charles, can you take me back to that time when you were a junior player? How would you describe what it was like, what the experience was like in Sarnia playing alongside Daniel?
I think what really hits home is even though the physical aspect is there, is the verbal and emotional abuse that I endured just in a very toxic environment.
What were you, do you remember what you were thinking? Like, what were you thinking, what were you feeling when these kinds of things would be happening to you?
Being in that environment, playing in the OHL, I was 18. The start of the relationship I had with the organization really wasn't a very positive one from the very start, so there really wasn't much you can say, because if you said anything, you were pretty much on the first ride home.
Hey. Good, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for taking the time. You got a coffee?
Yeah, a little tea.
And we were all set up over here. So Dan, I mean, when we first spoke to you, it was about a year ago when you came forward with your allegations of abuse that you had endured and that you had witnessed. Can you tell me a little bit about what's this last year been like for you?
It's been difficult to be a man on an island, but I also have a really great tool, and we all have a really great tool, which is our phones and social media. So I've used that this past year as my therapy to just continue my advocacy work and continue to speak my truth.
He's become a beacon. At last count, 400 people, many of them players, have reached out to him.
What are they coming forward with?
Just their abuse stories. Some of them are sexual. A lot of them are sexual. I just want people to realize where the line is and what's happened to them, because then they can stop feeling guilty and holding everything inside, and they can truly start healing. As soon as you tell that story and you relinquish that story, even if it's to me, somebody that you don't know, a weight is lifted.
Are you hopeful that things will change, that this reckoning, that it's being called a reckoning in hockey, do you think it's going to stick and actually lead to real change?
I really do. Now, whether that change comes from the inside or whether I continue to do it from the outside, I really truly believe that it will happen. It's already happening.